Hi guys, it's Living Life in the Light. I'm AP Hill. Also, you can find me on Twitter or on Facebook with the hashtag #WhatIsRecovery. Uh, I don't want to claim ownership of that hashtag if somebody else out there has already trademarked it or whatever, but I just started making posts on Twitter and with that hashtag, and I noticed mine were on the top. So maybe that's just because I was the last person to do it or whatever, but I figure anybody that's interested in recovering, if they type in that hashtag or they search that hashtag, they're going to find something that has something to do with either substance recovery or mental health recovery, recovery from depression, anxiety, PTSD, things of that nature. So I'd be in good company. So anyway, so I wanted to talk about a couple of things that, little issues that came up in my group therapy today. Um, and it seems like some of the people in there, there's a couple of people in there that they're in there for certain issues, and the solution or a possible solution for their issue seems to be staring you and everybody else in the group in the face, and this person is still holding on to their old mentality instead of having that breakthrough moment where they say, you know what, this makes sense now, and I now know what I need to do. First of all, what are your methods of coping with stress? I just did a post about this. What are your methods of coping with stress, depression, anxiety, trauma? What are your ways of coping? They don't necessarily have to involve substances. Some people cope by cutting. Some people cope by drinking. Some people cope by snorting meth. Some people cope by elaborate shopping. Some people cope by gambling. Some people cope by eating. There's people that stress eat. And it's like, we all have stress. We all have moments of depression. We all have moments of anxiety. But how are you dealing with it? What is it that you're doing that helps you cope with it? And then you have to ask yourself, are the methods that you use to cope with your stress and depression and anxiety, are they making you feel better about yourself or worse about yourself? Now, this is all just stream of consciousness thoughts that I've had since I started thinking about it, and I keep seeing the people in this group, and they seem to have the same story every time. That something happened last night and they're in a pissed off mood, or something happened yesterday and I put a hole in the wall. Now they're dealing with anger issues, and that's why they're there. And it's like, do we get stuck in a comfort zone? Do we get stuck in modes of coping that are maladaptive or only make things worse? People maybe not think about that very often, that lashing out in anger can be a coping mechanism for some people. When you consider the negative consequences that come from lashing out in anger to cope with your stress, then does it make your life more or less manageable? And I think a lot of it is, according to some of the things that these people in the group have said, a lot of it has to do with ways that they perceive the people in their lives, what their opinions are of them, and how they feel towards them. Now, I'm not saying that they feel this way without any cause. I'm not saying that other people haven't given them reason to have this opinion or adopt this perception of themselves. But once that perception is in them and it feeds on their darkness and it makes them feel the self-loathing, the self-pity, the low self-esteem, the reason they lash out is because that's their way of coping with it. Somebody makes me feel small, boy, I'm going to punch them so they know who they're fucking with, you know? So, okay, the maladaptive coping skills, let's take that for a second. If you find that the coping skills that you have or the coping mechanisms that you have for your particular issues, oh, that's good coffee. If you find that your coping mechanisms for the things that stress you out are maladaptive or not working or not making things better, they're making things worse. If you find that, what do you do? How do you find better coping skills? Well, in my case, it was inpatient hospital stays for either detox or mental health issues, getting on the right meds, and being taught in group sessions different coping skills, power of positive thinking, mindfulness meditation, uh, reading, writing, journaling, you know, things like that. I'm not suggesting that everybody out there go get an inpatient hospital stay. Don't get me wrong, okay? But what I'm saying is there are places out there, like this hospital that I go to, they have a partial hospitalization program. They also have an intensive outpatient program. PHP is 7 days a week. IOP is like 3 or 4 days a week. And it's like you can come in the evenings, you get to go home at night. You know, you're not inpatient, but they monitor your blood pressure, your vitals. They feed you. They will fill out any paperwork you need as far as your job is concerned. Um, and it's group therapy sessions. And it's like being in a group therapy situation, telling your story and hearing the stories of others. I can't tell you how much that helps. It's incalculable how much that helps. Being able to get it off your chest and vent around people who truly care and you care about their story and you want to see them succeed just as much as they want to see you succeed, and the interchange of ideas and notions and perceptions and things like that, it helps you get to a point where you can start to see the value of these different coping mechanisms. They teach you all kinds of coping skills, and you can just put them in an imaginary toolbox. And it's like when you start to get stressed out, depressed, anxious, having an obsession, having a craving for a drink or a drug, you go to that toolbox and you open it up and you say, you know what? Instead, I'm going to take a hot bath with bubbles. It's as simple as that. And you have, because what's happening here is we have gotten into a situation where we have trained our brain. We have given ourselves a conditioned response. You know, classical and operant conditioning. Yeah, we've given ourselves a conditioned response. And it's like, when this happens, I have to reach for this in order to feel better. Well, some of us have been doing that for many years now. Some not as long, but some of us have been doing it for many years now. And the change to a different mode of thinking does not happen overnight. You're not going to get a magical cure-all overnight. It's going to take work and effort. You have to build a new habit. It takes 21 days to build a new habit. So you give yourself 21 days. Set a goal for yourself. Set a realistic goal. Set a small goal, and then set bigger ones and bigger ones. And you'll see that you can accomplish each one of those things if you keep it realistic. And so my thing is, seek out the help. Don't just suffer in silence because you're afraid of what other people are going to think of you. That's the stigma talking, and it's like I said in that post, the stigma is what keeps us sick. And you are not mentally deficient or defective. You are not your disease if you have one. Okay? You are the sum parts of what you're doing to overcome the negative effects of whatever you're struggling with. That's what you are. But if you're sitting there safe and secure in your little comfort zone where nobody challenges you because you're getting your way, then you're fulfilling a deep-seated need inside of you. People stay in bad relationships because it fulfills a need in them. People stay in abusive homes, and they have excuses every time you tell them, well, why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? Well, I can't afford it, and this and the other, and this and the other. There are programs out there that exist that help people in situations exactly like that. And it's just a matter of putting the effort in to find it. And it just seems like so many people are more comfortable sitting in their shitty situation than taking the effort it would take to remove themselves from the situation and start to improve. So basically, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight. I know it was kind of here, there, and everywhere, but that's kind of me, you know. And if you see my blog, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, stay tuned. I'll be making some posts tonight. I'm going to go and edit this video and then get it uploaded and share it with you guys. And I wish you peace and, you know, good luck.